But I really wanted to watch this video right here. This is the one that I originally wanted to react to, so I think we'll react to it real quick. Well, 11 minutes. But hopefully I don't do that much commentary. But I started watching this, right? So it's just one of those things that pops up on your feed when you're getting ready to go to bed and you want to watch it. Then I heard some things said in it, right? And then I'm like, oh no. I gotta react to this and comment. I didn't watch the whole thing, though. I only watched a little bit. So, how about we do this one, and then we'll get into the games. Cause I still want to check out the Enfield thing, and then do like the most of the story. Right, and then the other videos will give us something to watch next week. Right, I'll try to. No promises based on what's going on, but I'll try to do at least one or two reacts every week for you guys. Okay, because it seems like you guys like them quite a bit. And they're fun to do. It's funny. It gives us something to talk about, too. So, good topics. And then it seems like you guys learned some things, too. But, yeah, at least one or two, depending on what's going on that weekend. If it's a slow weekend, we can do more, of course, but, you know. But, okay, let's, what's the video called? Every level of being a truck driver in America. Okay, well, I want to know what level I'm at. There better be a salty as hell level. That's where I'm at. Alright, what's the channel called? Grind Theory. Okay. Alright, fellas. We're gonna check this out, okay? Well, so, hopefully the volume was okay too, 'cause there wasn't a lot of sound in that one. But okay, every level of being a truck driver in America. Let's check it out.
You're 21. You found a
Hold on.
Level 1. The CDL. You're 21. You found a company-sponsored CDL program online. No money down. 3 weeks of training. They pay you
3 weeks of training? I guess to get your CDL, right? 3 weeks? Man, let's see. CDL school. Now, I guess if you do the crash course, it would be 3 weeks of training. They're basically just gonna teach you enough to, they're basically gonna teach you enough so you can just pass your road test, right? So basically, the training is basically memorizing how to recite your pre-trip, like it's like a speech. Right. You know, and just pretend you know what you're looking at when you're doing it. And of course, the driving portion. Some guys might take longer than 3 weeks. Mine was longer. The reason why, because at the time I needed a loan, and in order to qualify for the loan to go to trucking school, you needed, to take like, I forget what they call it, but basically you need to take the classroom stuff too, instead of going right out into the yard and learning your like maneuvers and stuff. 600 a week though? Or are they paying you 600 a week? Cause some schools do that.
$600 a week while you study. You think that's generous until you read the
Okay.
contract. $10,000 clawback if you leave before 12 months. You sign anyway. The written test takes
I've never had to sign one of these contracts, but I don't need to know that, you know, make sure if you go to one of these trucking schools ran by one of these companies, you know, just, you're pretty much gonna be a slave to them for that next year. Because that's pretty much how you pay your schooling back. They'll go and they'll pay for your training so you can get your license, but now you gotta work for them for a year. It's okay, because you'll get your experience, but at the same time, when you're under contract and the company knows you can't go anywhere for a year, oh my god, you're pretty much subject to whatever BS they want you to do at that point. So, but sometimes you don't have a choice. So, if you can survive that, you can do rather well and then go to a much better company.
45 minutes. The pre-trip inspection takes another 2 weeks to memorize. Hood latch.
That's fair. About that 2 weeks to memorize as a new driver. Hey, you notice he said memorize. Not learn, memorize. Keep that in mind.
Coolant level. Power steering fluid.
Okay. Well, this obviously isn't a semi-truck. The coolant would be up here by the radiator, and usually the power steering is over here on the driver's side. But at the Sabat, those are two things you would check on your pre-trip. So he's right there.
Crack the air hose. Check the glass.
You're not gonna learn. You'll learn what these are, but these airlines on the back of these trailers are only there if you're gonna be hauling like doubles and triples. Like generally, you're not gonna learn this part back here. You'll learn about it, what it is, but unless you're hauling like pups or like 253s, this back here. Now you'll be doing the glad hands on the front from the tractor, from the truck to the trailer, but like, come on, you're not gonna be back here. The only time you're gonna be back here when you're what's this with the lights? Anyway, the only time you're gonna be back here during your school training is to do your pre-trip on your latch, your mud flaps, your tires, your DOT, your reflective tape, and your doors and stuff. You're not gonna be back here fumbling around with airlines. Unless the trailer that you're training on, because sometimes the older ones would have these, unless the trailer you're training on actually has this. If this is part of your truck that you're going on your road test or your trailer rather, then you would need to know what these are. And the only thing you would need to know is that just to make sure these are off. So air isn't coming out when you push your brakes in.
Glad hands. Tap the tandems. Check for brake stroke.
Tap the tandems, what?
The instructor, a retired Werner driver named Dale, with a thermos of black coffee surgically attached to his hand,
Dale.
tells you the DOT doesn't care about your feelings.
Neither does the company. Neither does the company.
He's right. You fail your first road
Yes.
test because you forgot to
Yep.
cancel your turn signal, entering the
Depending on what state you're in, some states are gonna be really hard on that. Some states, you're just gonna do some states is gonna be a state trooper, and they're gonna be really strict. But you also gotta understand, if you can pass his road test, you'll probably be a much better driver. But you gotta understand from his perspective the amount of wrecks that guy has seen. But what the hell the heck is with this image? Where's the rest of the truck? Like, these guys are driving on the wrong side. But no, a lot of guys fail their first few attempts if they're having a state trooper. Some states it's just a regular inspector, and they're a lot easier. As long as you don't do any screw-ups. But yeah, they'll fail you. Yeah, someone will right out fail you for that.
interstate. You pass the second time. The BLS median for heavy truck drivers is $54,320. The bottom
It's higher than that now. I guess unless you're a starter. If you're a starter company, maybe it'd be at the medium price or somewhere in between. But if you're not a rookie, you're making this as a truck driver, you need to find a new company. You need to run. Just run. Just run. You can make way more. Run as fast as you can.
10% makes $34,730.
Okay.
Dale doesn't mention either number. You wouldn't have heard him anyway. Level 2. The company driver. Your
Let me listen to that part again. So I kind of talked a little bit.
BLS median for heavy truck drivers is $54,320. The bottom 10% makes $34,730. Dale doesn't mention either number. You wouldn't have heard him anyway. Level 2.
Eh. When I was in trucking school, I'm trying to think what to say on that. When I was in trucking school, It was years ago. They talked about pay, but I think a lot of them were instructed not to talk a lot about it. Especially because a lot of these schools have like these startup companies come in and everything, and a lot of them don't pay great, right? I mean, but there are startup companies. So, I mean, that's fair. I'd rather them not say anything than try to convince me I'm gonna make like $5,000 a day, like some of them did back then, or $5,000 a week. I mean, I guess if you're an owner operator or something, yeah, but if you're an owner operator, you got expenses coming out of that 5,000 too. So, company driver, okay. Um, this is a delivery van. I am not 100% sure if you need a CDL for this. Why would you go to get your Class A to drive one of these? At the very least, if you needed a CDL, definitely don't need a Class A. Class B or C. Class B would be more than enough and it's cheaper. If you're gonna go get your Class A to drive this, 20 on come on.
The company driver. You're 22. They put you in a Freightliner Cascadia with 480,000 miles on it and a crash.
Okay. 480,000 miles on a truck these days? On a semi-truck? That's practically new. The mileage isn't measured like it is on a car. Like this on a car, like the car would be done. Right, but 480,000, yeah, it's used. And quite frankly, I would make the argument those trucks are a lot of times better because those trucks are broken in. Right, a lot of times the brand newer trucks, a lot of times they'll break down more because they're not broken in yet. Right? So there's another thing. I mean, the truck is still at 480,000 miles. It's probably still under warranty, at least for another 20,000. A lot of these big companies that can afford it try to get rid of them at 500,000. But I've had trucks at over 1,000,000 miles, guys. I mean, this isn't an old truck. Now, if they're giving you a day cab to do it over the road, now that would be a problem. But no, and as a rookie, as a brand new driver, you're not gonna get a new truck. They're not gonna give you a brand new truck as a rookie when you still have a whole bunch of screw-ups to do. Heck no. You haven't even proven yourself yet. You're not getting a brand new truck. But this is still good for mileage. It's not even like half that truck's lifespan. With the dev systems, you can argue, 1,000,000 miles, right? So if you're going off of that, it's not halfway there. Now, if it's taken care of, it could probably last more than that. Dev systems make it tough. But come on. This is why I wanted to watch the video because of some of these things. Okay. What do you
80,000
say?
miles on it and a crack in the passenger seat that catches your jacket zipper. Your
The crack. I mean, some situations, depending on who had the truck before, there might be some wear and tear on it, but it's not a big deal. You're a rookie. You're brand new. You're nothing. You haven't proven yourself. Just take it. It's fine. It's fine. You'll thank me later when it's not breaking down. That's all it was taken care of, right? But
on it
anyway.
and a crack in the passenger seat that catches your jacket zipper. Your trainer, a guy named Ronnie from Texarkana, sleeps in the top bunk while you drive nights through Missouri.
Sleeping on the top bunk while you drive nights. Sleeping on the top bunk while you drive nights. Alright. Alright. So, I'll say this. It is a stereotype, and it is true. Because maybe stereotype's not the right word, but it is a real thing. Obviously, people joke about it all the time. Trainers do go back and sleep in the back, right? But first of all, there's no way he's gonna be on the top bunk. He's gonna be on the bottom bunk. No one should be sleeping on the top bunk when the truck is moving, because if he hits his brakes, and you're up here, you're gonna be flying through the windshield. Um, Now, the night driving, that obviously will depend on the trainer. I personally prefer driving at night myself, but as a rookie driver, right, especially being new and not used to driving long hours, making your rookie drive at night would be insanely risky. Um, so there is kind of stages to this too with the trainer, right? But a lot of companies require the trainer to be up front, right? And they're both supposed to be on duty, right? Because basically what he's describing is a team operation, right? But the trainer's supposed to be up here on duty while the rookie is driving, right? At least for depending on the length of training, at least in the beginning, right? For like maybe the first like week or two, right? Or until or however long it takes until you're confident with the rookie driving. Because a lot of trainers aren't. Well, we hope most of them are. Most of them understand that if they go back here and they leave their rookie to their own devices, that, they could crash or go off a mountain or something. And most trainers don't want to die on the road, right? But, there are occasions where you've had your rookie or your trainee for a little bit, right? And he's doing a rather good job, right? You know, yeah, after a few weeks, that if your trainee seems a bit confident, it's not completely out of the question for the trainer to go back there and get a little extra sleep. Because there's a lot of occasions where, right, because they both run on, like, if they're both running on the trainee's schedule, when the trainee's shift is over, if he drives 11 hours, the trainer sometimes will go and drive the rest of that to regress the load a little bit and let the trainee either stay up or go to bed. So in some cases, if your trainee is competent, you can go back and get a little extra sleep. But um, but if he's brand new, don't leave him alone up here. Come on, don't do that. No, bad, bad, and definitely don't sleep on the top bunk when the truck's moving. Eh. And this guy's driving in the median. What the heck? What the heck? He's driving in the median and he's sleeping. Come on, trainer, wake up.
In the rain. You make 0.28 cents a mile as a student. After 30,000 miles, you go solo. 0.22 a mile. The load board says 487 miles to Kansas City. You do the math in your head. $204.54.
I don't know what rookie pay is these days, but like maybe 10 years ago that would have been the pay, but I don't know if it's that low still. And the 42 cent a mile is still. Now, if he's talking about your first year when you signed the contract, okay, that might be a different story. So you are on the contract, but we don't know if part of his mileage pay is getting. So a lot of companies pay more than this now. Like, this is insanely low. Like, after your year's up, you run away from these guys that paying you this. This is nothing. This was like 10 years ago pay.
Ronnie told you to divide by hours driven, not miles. You don't listen yet. The truck stops are $15 for a shower. The parking lot fills by
Oh,
8 p.m.
$15 for
The
a
truck
shower.
stops are 15.
So, yes and no. If you don't have shower points and you're paying, yeah, especially at the big chains, they're about $15, $17 now. But a lot of times you'll shower at the places you fuel at, right? 'Cause a lot of companies like you'll fuel at Lowe's or Pilot Flying J, and they got a rewards card, and you get X amount of showers when you get like 70, 50, 75 gallons of fuel. So you'll get free showers as a driver. And little fun tip, something I learned, right? If you're planning on like even as a car, right? Planning on where to get fuel. Um, I forget exactly the reason why, but the truck stops that have showers, or the travel centers that have showers, their fuel prices are gonna be more than the travel centers that don't. It's a little fun tip there. At least that's what I've been told in the past, and I've paid attention. It seems to be the case.
Dollars for a shower. The parking lot fills by 8 p.m.
Okay, okay, okay. Come on, come on. Come on. Come on. This is tell me you are a truck driver without telling me what a truck driver and you just had ChatGPT write this whole thing for you. 8 p.m. the truck stop's full. Come on. Most of these guys are parking before the street lights. Come on. A lot of these places are filling up by 3 o'clock. 5 o'clock, 5 to 6 o'clock is definitely a cutoff for a lot of these places. If you're trying to park at 8 o'clock at night, you better sure as hell know that you can get parking in the area you're in. Maybe some places out west where it's a bit more remote, this would be feasible. But like, especially on the East Coast, you're not. The chances of you getting a park is by 8 p.m. Right? You might get lucky after at like 6:30, maybe 7. But a lot of these guys are parking when the street lights come on. Before the street lights come on. And then they don't start until the sun comes up. You know, they work a 9 to 5. But you're not gonna make killer money as a truck driver doing that, but you know, it is what it is. But come on! Come on.
You circle for 40 minutes at the Flying J in Joplin because the truck stop is full and HOS.
Now, a rookie would make that mistake. A rookie would make that mistake. And circling the parking lot for 40 minutes, I can kind of see that. Especially, he's gonna talk about hours of service, especially if you're out of hours and you can't go any further. You're either gonna park like a jerk, which a lot of guys do, or you're gonna just circle around, hoping somebody leaves. And at 8 p.m., you're parking at 8 p.m. and 40 minutes would be about 9 p.m. Most of those guys are there for the night, my friend. You're gonna be out till you might get lucky at like 12 a.m. 1 a.m. 12 a.m. to like 1 a.m. You might get lucky. But you screwed up. And I think you said Joplin. If you're in Joplin, there isn't a Flying J in well, Joplin might be bigger, unless it's further up the road, but I know there's a Pilot and a Love's, and then you got the Joplin 44. You should, I mean, since in an area like that, if I'm going to Joplin at 8 o'clock at night, I would probably risk it because of the Joplin 44. Because that's like one of like the Iowa 80 truck stops, which the Iowa 80 is the largest truck stop in the world. And those are like, I guess, sisters or brothers to that, for lack of a better term. So in that situation, I would plan to go there and at 8 o'clock, forget the Loves over there, just forget it. You might get lucky at the Pilot that's next door to the Joplin, because everyone's going to the Joplin. But it's one of the exceptions to the rule. I could see you risking it, but you're playing a fire when you're trying to find parking at 8 o'clock in the evening. So, anyway.
Hours of service runs out in 90 minutes. You park half on the shoulder. You sleep.
You have an hour and a half. Depending on what his options were, in Joplin, he might have. It's been a while since I've been on 44. He might have been able to find a mom and pop to park at in an hour and a half. But at that particular time, sometimes it's worth it to start early so you can to end your shift earlier so you can kind of mess with your start times and everything, clear your 10-hour break. Now, sleeping on the shoulder, I know you probably see a ton of guys do that. A lot of states will give you a ticket for doing that. It's not advised, because you can... It's not advised. Not a great decision. We'll just we'll just say that. How about that?
The ELD, electronic logging device, mandatory since 2017, wakes you at 3 a.m. because the clock reset. You have an 11-hour drive.
Oh, the ELD isn't gonna wake you up. I've never had an ELD. I never had an ELD with an alarm that's gonna wake me up when I sleep. Yeah, if you need to set an alarm, you use your phone. Right, or sometimes these trucks have like alarms built in the back. But the ELD is not gonna wake you up. Um, it's just gonna track your hours, so it'll let you know. So you just check it to see if your break's over, if you can leave. And 3 a.m. is actually a good time to leave at too, because your shift will be ending. Great. Right, to 11 hours, right? And obviously you gotta count on duty time. Let's just say you're gonna have a 12-hour shift, right? Because you don't have any pickups or anything. That ends your day around, let's just say between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Perfect time to find your parking spot. So that's a good shift.
Driving window. The delivery appointment is at 6 a.m., 340 miles out. The math doesn't work.
So you have a 6 a.m. appointment. So I don't even have to use a calculator for this. This is roughly 5.5 hours of driving. If you're waking up he screwed up. He's gonna be waking up at 3 a.m. You gotta do your pre-trip and everything. He's gonna be maybe like 2 to 3 hours late for this appointment. So either he screwed up in his trip planning, or the company just gave him a BS load. Considering he signed a contract and the company doesn't care if he sits, he's kinda a slave to that company right now. Either one could be the case, but that a rookie is probably. It's been a while since I've been a rookie, so. I mean, he just made a mistake.
Work. You call dispatch. Dispatch says figure it out. You learn what detention time is the day. A receiver at a Walmart DC in Searcy, Arkansas.
Uh, this confirms it. Not a truck driver at all that made this video. No way. No way. I'll tell you why here in a second. Um, so first off, in this situation, as much as we pick on dispatchers, in this situation, because the loads still need to get delivered, right? In this situation, they're gonna be figuring out what to do with you. Whether they need to reschedule your load, or, they're gonna call the customer, try to work something out, right? At least when it's pertaining to a load, right? They're gonna try to figure something out with you. I know sometimes they'll try to intimidate you or whatnot, but um, no, this isn't entirely accurate. Maybe in some companies it might be, right? Can't speak. I haven't worked for every company and every dispatcher, but most of the time they'll work with you to try to get this worked out. Now the big thing.
Dispatch says figure it out. You learn what detention time is the day. A receiver at a Walmart DC in Searcy, Arkansas, holds your trailer for 4 hours past the appointment. The company pays.
Okay, sorry. So they're kind of going off in different directions there. He made it seem like the 6 a.m. was the Walmart load. Let me just say this right now. If you are delivering at a Walmart, unless it's like I think even if it's a drop and hook, right? But especially if it's a live unload, if you're delivering to a Walmart and you're late, there's first off, they're gonna turn you around and tell you to reschedule, and you better pray because it's happened. You might be sitting on that load, or the company will be sitting on that load for a week. Sometimes there's a lot of occasions they won't have another time slot for you until like next week. I've been told that before because companies have wanted me to try to deliver a late load to Walmart, right, or save a load, and you pull it in, and yeah, they tell you, yeah, you gotta come back next week. Hello, Animan, ranting about trucking, watching trucking videos. What was the other thing? Alright, Walmart also holding you 4 hours past your appointment time. If that's all they held you for, then that's good. And Walmart's been known to hold you for like 7, 8 hours, sometimes more. That's not bad. That's easy. That's a no-brainer right there. Yeah, but Walmart, yeah. Most of the companies I worked for in the recent years did drop-in hooks at Walmart, so it hasn't been too bad. But yeah, if you're late to Walmart to deliver your load, you just expect to come back next week, pretty much. Now in that situation, I can't speak for every company. Some companies might, depending on whose fault it is, right? But, some companies will try to find something else for you to do, right? They might have a place you can drop that trailer and then try to re-deliver it. But, yeah. Alright, let's see what else they say.
Pays you $18 for the first 2 hours. Nothing after that. The customer charges the shipper $250 an hour for the same delay. You learn the gap is structural. You start reading forums on your
Here's the thing. I want to listen to that again. Hold on.
learn what detention time is the day. A receiver at a Walmart DC in Searcy, Arkansas, holds your trailer for 4 hours past the appointment. The company pays you $18 for the first 2 hours. Nothing after that. The customer charges the shipper
Okay. The guy who wrote this
holds your
hold on.
trailer for 4 hours past the appointment.
Alright, that's
The
normal.
company pays you $18 for the first 2 hours. Nothing after that. The
Alright. He's got this backwards. First off, 18 for the driver is low. Normally it's like 20, right? But normally, right, because of unload times, right? Right, to give the customer a chance to unload. If you're on time for your appointment, the customer usually gets the first 1 to 2 hours for free. Normally, if you're a company driver, it's 2, right? So it gives the customer basically 2 hours to unload your truck. After that, you get whatever your detention is per hour. So for hours 3 and 4, you'd get $18, $20, whatever it is. Now the other issue, good luck getting paid that detention pay. Right, you might have to fight for it to get that, but that's a whole other tangent. All right,
customer
so
charges the shipper $250 an hour for the same delay. You learn
the customer charges the shipper $250 an hour for the same delay. That doesn't, the way he worded that doesn't make sense. Because the shipper and the shipper and the receiver are technically the customers and the carrier. So it's the carrier's truck that's getting held, and the detention is paying for the truck to sit, basically. So that doesn't make any sense. And even as the driver, right? If you're a company driver, if you're an owner-operator, you gotta worry about all that. But if you're a driver, just a company driver, you just gotta worry about getting that $20 an hour. Right? Don't need to make it more complicated.
the gap is structural. You start reading forums on your phone at the truck stop. A guy named Big
Yeah?
Rig Bob says the average company driver runs 100,000 to 125,000 miles a year. At
That seems about right
0.42
as a
cents a
solo
mile, that's
driver.
$42,500. You're doing $110,000 your first year. The check clears. You send $400 home. You eat Subway and protein bars for 6 months.
Let me tell you, if there's one restaurant I got sick of so freaking quick on the road, it was freaking Subway. Cause every freaking truck stop had a freaking Subway in it. Every single one. Oh my god, sometimes you're eating Subway every freaking night. Not only that, but as a driver, you're practically eating a loaf of bread and then sitting all day. Like, This is how the carbs. This is how guys gain so much weight. Is because they're just eating carbs. Now, as for the pay, they did establish in the beginning. He went to a trucking school, ran by a company, and signed a contract. So, like, 42 cents a mile now is super low, right? But if he signed a contract, then it is what it is. After his year's up, he's got to run for that company. Run far as he can. But I don't know what the average now is for a new driver. But I know 50,000 a year is definitely on the low end. Now, they tried to say earlier in the video that the low end is $34,000. I mean, that might be, but that's not enough money to even crank up the truck, let alone to run a load for them. Alright, what's
And
next?
tell your girlfriend you'll be home Friday. You get home Sunday. Level 3. The experienced company
Yeah, um, yeah, that's really common, right? You say you're gonna be home Friday, then you get held up. Yep, that's common. The experienced driver. Oh no, we're at level 3.
driver. You're 26. You move to a regional carrier. 0.55 and 10.
Okay,
Home
this is better.
weekends. Medical on day 1. You run the same lanes every week now. I-70 to Denver. I-80 to Salt Lake. Back down I-15. You
Those
know
are
every
good
scale
runs.
house. Every way
Yep,
station bypass. Every pilot where the showers are clean and the lot isn't full by 7.
yeah,
You
that's true.
flag 120,000 miles this year. $64,800 gross.
Not
After
terrible,
taxes and
not
per
terrible,
diem,
that's pretty
you
good.
take home around $51,000. The BLS top 10% for the trade is $83,770. You're climbing toward it. A recruiter calls from a refrigerated carrier. Reefer pays
Oh no.
$0.06 more per mile. You do the math. $7,200 a year for hauling frozen chicken and checking temps every time you stop. You take the call. You don't take the job yet. The truck breaks down outside Elko, Nevada, on a Tuesday in February. The turbo goes at mile marker 292. Roadside takes 6 hours. The load is late. The broker calls the carrier. The carrier calls dispatch. Dispatch calls
So,
you. You're already on hold with the
we're gonna
service
back up
center,
real quick.
checking temps.
So at this point, he's trying to decide if he's gonna go to a different company because of the 6 cent per mile. A couple things to keep in mind when you're changing companies is, is sometimes, the cent per mile isn't everything, right? You gotta consider how many miles you're gonna get as well, right? Because in this particular situation, he's thinking about going to a refrigerated carrier. Well, if you know anything about hauling reefer and going to food warehouses, there's something that refrigerated dri- truck drivers who do reefer do a lot, and that's sick. Right? I can't tell. I've done refrigerated before, and I do it now. Um, can't tell you how many times you go to like a meat plant or produce or any type of food warehouse, and you're just sitting there all day because your load's not ready. Yeah, if you're gonna go to a refrigerated carrier, you're gonna be sitting a lot, so you might not be getting 120,000 miles a year, right? And the other things you gotta look into is what are their lanes gonna be, right? Because you might get a 6 cent raise, but if you're going to New York City all the time or the Northeast, well, you're not gonna be getting a ton of miles to like traffic and everything. And not only that, the headache of it, right? Like that, because those places are a pain in the butt to go to all the time. So there's other things and there's other things to factor in aside from just a cent per mile pay raise. So yeah, it is. So that's why. I mean, he's still making 60 cent a mile at that point. He's not unless he's an owner operator or like a lease operator. He's not making $7,000 a week, right? He's not. Especially depending on what state your company's out of. And even if you are a lease operator or you're an owner operator, you're not getting that whole 7,000, right? Um, you're not getting all that because it's gonna come out in expenses in your truck, and you gotta do your own taxes if you're a lease or owner operator, right? And not only that, but another thing to consider with like a pay like that is like the more you gross, it's gonna put you in a higher tax bracket too. So you're gonna be uh paying more in taxes. Um, cause like I did like some team runs before, and I would make really, really good money on teams. Like I would gross a lot of money, but then I would get destroyed on taxes. I would get destroyed on taxes so bad, I was calling the company asking what the hell was wrong with my paycheck. So other stuff to keep in mind. What did he say?
Every time you stop, you take the call. You don't take the job yet. The truck breaks down outside Elko, Nevada, on a Tuesday
That
in
sucks.
February. The
That's a
turbo goes
sucky
at
place to
mile
break
marker
down.
292. Roadside takes 6 hours. The load is
In Elko, I haven't broken down in Elko, but I don't know if it would. It can take this long, but I haven't really had hardly any situation where I was on the side of the road for 6 hours. At least, like, working for a company. And a turbo is pretty much gonna be put on a record. And let's just hope you're not going to the dealer. The dealer, I call that the D word, because the dealer's a bad word. um, but, one thing that's annoying about road calls too, right? Especially if you've been driving for a while. Like if it's a tire, right? Like you know that Lowe's is gonna come out or whoever, and they're just gonna repair it there, and you're gonna be good to go. But if it's something major, like even a turbo, what's annoying is just call the wrecker, right? Just call the wrecker. You're getting towed. Well, the company wants to waste time, and they just call out the roadside guy just so he can come over there and tell them they need a wrecker. It's like, come on, guys. I already told you we're gonna need the wrecker. Just just save time. Get the wrecker out here and let's go to the shop and get this repaired. But I guess they try to be. I guess they do it by steps or whatever, and they try to be hopeful. Maybe it can be fixed, so they don't gotta call the wrecker. But they usually end up having to. But you would get breakdown pay in this instance too. So sometimes it's not. So this wouldn't be too bad. You should get paid for this.
late. The broker calls the carrier. The carrier calls dispatch. Dispatch calls you. You're already on.
Wait. The broker calls the carrier calls dispatch. The dispatch is the carrier. The dispatch is the carrier.
Hold
Let me
with the
guess.
service center. Nobody is angry at the turbo. They're angry at you. You
That, uh, that's kinda true. That's kinda true. They're annoyed because the load's not there, but it's kinda true and it kinda isn't, depending, right? Because, well, first off, they're not gonna call the carrier and then call dispatch. At least the companies I worked for, they go right to dispatch, or there's someone in dispatch that handles brokers, right? But in this situation, if the turbo goes out, that's not the driver's fault, right? So the broker's gonna probably pressure the company, cause that's what brokers do. But the company will, in this situation, probably because they want to avoid fees and cover their butts, they'll kind of defend you on that, right? Well, I never been an owner operator. Yeah, I've always worked for a company, so I don't know how that goes all the time. I'm usually really cooperative when the service guys come out. But yeah, this isn't entirely accurate, this part.
start thinking about the truck. Not the company's truck. Your truck. A guy named Jason on the owner-operator forum posted his settlements for March. $28,400 gross. $11,200 in expenses. $17,200 net in 1 month. You screenshot it. You save it to your phone. You look at it on bad weeks. Level 4. The owner-operator. You're
I guess I'm still level 3 since I'm still a company driver. I don't know. When you're an owner operator, I mean, that truck comes before you eat, right? I mean, I want to be able to come home and not have to think about the truck. But you gotta, as a new driver or any type of driver, you gotta be careful when guys are showing you your pay stubs like that. You still gotta, you still gotta have an ear of caution. Just 'cause they're doing that doesn't mean you're gonna do that, right? And then being an owner operator comes with a whole, like you're paying for all the expenses on that truck. When that turbo goes out, you're paying for the turbo, you're paying for the wrecker, you're paying for the repair. You're the one losing money because it's your truck down, not the company. But yeah, you can gross quite a bit as an owner operator, not so much a lease operator, right? Because they can make a lot of money, but remember, you're covering all the expenses, and then let's not talk about the inspections and the permits that you need in your book, the IFTA sticker, the IFTA tax, all that other stuff. Yeah, there you go. It's like owning a boat, right? You know what boat stands for? Bring on another 1,000. Same thing. But you take on all the headache when you become an owner operator. And then that week, right, that might have netted, let's just say he said 17,000 that week. He might have netted that, but then he might not make anything at all the next couple of weeks. And then all your expenses are coming out of that 17,000. So you can't go off of that. You gotta do your research. And one of the worst times to make a decision on a job change is when you're pissed off. That's when you're gonna make the worst, most irrational job changes. Right? Because you're not gonna think about you're just gonna think about the money and all the good stuff. You're not gonna think about all the side effects of this choice too. Right? Because there's benefits to being an owner operator and there's benefits to being a company driver. But coming from a company guy, or driver, whatever you want to call me, um, uh, yeah, company driver, sorry, lost my train of thought. I want to be able to go home and not think about the truck. So, what
31.
else did I say?
You bought a 2019 Peterbilt 389 with 300.
Alright, we all like Peterbilts, and we like twin stacks, and everything, right? But there's one thing we can't deny. These are fuel guzzlers. And there's another expense that he's not considering, the fuel. Right, so because an owner-operator goes and buys a truck that's gonna take a crap ton of fuel, right? Uh-oh. I'll comment on that in a minute. Um, yeah, I mean, this is gonna guzzle fuel. On this truck is a flatbed. Flatbed can make pretty good money, but they do have their slow seasons, right? And it depends on the amount of work being done. I don't know why they would do that, because I haven't gotten any flags for my song. Which song was it? Um, Maybe I can go on and be like, yeah, no, he's good. You can use it. Hey, maybe I can clear that for you. At least on that one. I never done it before, so I would have to look up how. But anyway, yeah. In this situation, you want to buy like a fuel-efficient truck at least. So
80,000 miles from an auction in Dallas. $72,000, $18,000 down. $1,247 a month for 60 months. You leased
that's
on
not
with a
too bad for a
mid-size
trip.
carrier first.
But
Safety,
fuel.
insurance, fuel card, dispatch all included. The carrier takes 12% of gross revenue. You run hard the first month. 18,000.
If you're driving down the road with a load. Oh, okay, so okay, yeah, you're fine. Then okay, you're good. I don't mind people using my songs. That's stupid. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, Assassin. No, I mean I don't mind people playing the kitty metal songs on on my stream. I even made a little short reel about it. But kitty metal sang it's fine. Just I just direct people to the YouTube or to one of my pages so I can get the followers and the likes. So you're fine. Alright. Well, I'm glad at least that one got cleared up. Okay. No, you're fine. I don't mind people playing the Kitty Mill songs. So, or Scarlet or whatnot. I'm not too picky on that. And, the reason why, one of the reasons why I'm not worried about that is because I get it. Right. That's one of the reasons why I made Kitty Metal, is because I wanted to use music for my stories and my videos and not have to worry about that stuff. Right, because I started off not doing that and just using like I remember I made my Halloween special, right? And I put the Ghostbusters song on the one that went on Facebook, but the one that went on YouTube, I had to take the Ghostbusters song off, and that was annoying. So then I was like, all right, I'll just make my own songs. So it's fun. So and it helps you guys out, gives you guys something to play. So it's a win-win. So, well, that's noted if I play like a Harry Potter game. So far, I haven't had any issues with the gotcha games yet. So, but yeah, if this is your dashboard, this is your dashboard. Yeah, you're yeah. Don't let DOT see that. And it and is this the mileage on this truck? 100,000 miles for that Peterbilt? That's not bad at all. That's like brand new. What really? Is that the lady has heard my songs? I gotta see that. Or did they go, like, inspect the channel after you showed it to them? That's awesome. I'm still not used to people liking my stuff. That's crazy. Anyway,
$400 gross. The carrier keeps $2,208. Fuel costs $5,100. Truck payment, $1,047. Insurance, $1,100. ELD subscription, pre-pass, IFTM, permits.
uh, are they a subscriber now? I guess hopefully they subscribe. You like on my Facebook too if you want. You did? What did how did that go?
$340. Net,
I need to finish this video.
$8,313 for the month. Annualized, nearly $100,000. You text your girlfriend the number. She says it's real this time. Then the DPF clogs
Hold on.
outside
I
Albuquerque.
gotta comment
She says
on
it's
this.
real.
Alright. $100,000 a year at an owner operator. Unless this is take home, which I know it's not. Because you still gotta factor in the expenses, you gotta factor in the taxes. You know, you might bring home 90K, maybe. This isn't accurate. And here's another piece of advice: if you want to make six figures, if you're gonna be an owner operator and you're gonna make $100,000 a year, just don't. There's other companies as company drivers that you're gonna make six figures at, like LTL. Right, you can go to almost any of these LTL companies and just do line haul. right? Like Estes, R&L, maybe, ABF. I should give you my names for them. See. I don't got a name for Estes. I can't say the name for R&L on stream. Let's just say the R is a word and the L stands for lost. So he gets it in. And then ABF, we call him already broken freight. There's Old Dominion, XPO, they all LTO companies that you'll gross close to this, if not this. Yeah, I mean 20K, yeah, for a repair fund, right? Because the money you gotta put. Basically, what I'm trying to explain is you're not gonna pocket all that. You're not gonna pocket all that, and it's in 100,000 a year gross is not much more than what a company guy would make, and he doesn't have nearly the headache. On average, now most companies are offering or saying that you'll make anywhere between 70 to 90,000 a year at some of these places. Some are less, and some of it depends on the driver and their work ethic. Well, tell them thank you for tell them to tell the tow truck driver to I don't know what to say. Don't just tell him something. But yeah, you're not gonna pocket all this. Let's continue.
This time. Then the DPF clogs outside Albuquerque. The repair shop wants $4,200. The part is back ordered 5 days. You sit in a motel off the
DPF delete.
interstate, watching your load get reassigned. You lose $3,800 in freight that week. The emergency
Yeah, that
fund,
happens.
the one you meant to build, has $1,400 in it.
Yeah,
You put the
now you're
repair on the
screwed.
card. ATBS, the trucking accounting firm, says owner-operators
There we go. He's talking about the expenses. So when you talk about the gross and the expenses and then the net, you might as well be and they're not even mentioning taxes or like if the or like I'm guessing like the expenses would count like the permits and stuff, right? But 62,000 net before taxes. Your company that's company driver pay. They're trying to, these companies will pull you in for like a lease operator, and they'll be like, yeah, you're gonna be your own businessman. It's gonna be your truck. You're gonna make a ton of money. You can go where you want with that truck. It's your truck. Let me tell you something. A lease purchase is pretty much the company conning you into paying for their fuel. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, especially if you're a lease purchase, right? It's not your truck. It's their truck. They just want you to pay for it, right? If you go into a lease purchase, 'cause when I was a rookie, I almost fell for it. And I went in there and I asked, could the company trucks were going at 62, right? And I asked them, I'm like, well, do I get a faster truck if I lease your truck? They said no. Well, I'm paying for your truck, so that means that would make me a customer paying for your truck. So if I want the truck to go faster, I should be able to get that. But nah, a lease program is basically, hey, I just pay for a fuel, pay for a truck. But don't fall for it. That truck comes before you eat. That truck comes before your real life. And when you're at home and you want to spend time with your family and your loved ones, oh no, you gotta make sure that truck is ready to go. Right? 'Cause you got those truck payments and everything. It's just a lot of extra headache. And look, he's not, well, 62. Man, what the hell is he doing incurring all these expenses for one? He must have called tons of records or got a crappy truck. But all this headache for 62,000 before taxes? No. Crappy.
Average $228,000 in gross revenue per year. Average expenses run
I hope I'm not talking.
$166,000 net,
You don't mind
$62,000
listening.
before personal taxes. You're making
Yep,
less than
see?
when you
Personal
drove for
taxes.
someone else. You stay anyway. You leave the
Now, there is one part I forgot to mention. I'll back up a little bit. So, at least when it comes to taxes, you do get write-offs. right? So that would mean you'd have to keep your receipts and everything. So you do got the tax write-offs. You do got that. So you do got that going for you. But yeah, he did mention personal taxes. So yeah, so you're gonna be actually making less. So you might have brought home like what, 40 to 50,000?
$1,000 net, $62,000 before personal taxes. You're making less than when you drove for someone else. You stay
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There we go. He said it. All right. Good. He said it.
anyway. You leave the carrier lease and go independent. You get your own authority, $300 to file, $75,000 in cargo insurance, $1,000 primary liability.
Yeah.
You find your own freight on DAT and truckstop.com. The spot market crashes in Q3. Rates fall from $2.80 a mile to
I'm not gonna go into the reason why, but guys who are drivers know what I mean. Um, from my understanding, now is a really bad time to be an owner-operator because of certain things going on in the industry that's dropping the rates down, right? Because, this is how you pay for your truck. And well, back then when I was a rookie, right? About 10 years ago, I was talking to some experienced drivers, and back then, and if you can tell me what it costs now per mile just to maintain your truck, you can update me on that. But he said that to lease a truck and or to be an owner operator, you had to at least make like a dollar 30. Let's just say $1.30 per mile just to break even on expenses for that truck for that load, with the fuel and everything like that. I don't know what it is now, but I do know a lot of drivers have been stressing out because, yeah, $102 and even $1.50 is still really low, right? So they probably don't have much left over after that. I don't know what it is now. I haven't really thought about it, right? But okay.
$1.90. You run cheaper lanes. You add a reefer trailer, leased, $900 a month, and
Yeah, now
chase
you're paying for the
food-grade
trailer
freight.
too.
The math gets tight. Then it loosens. Then it gets tight again. This is the
Yeah.
pattern of the trade. Level 5.
Mm-hmm.
The fleet owner. You're 39. You bought a second truck because a driver you trained at your old carrier called and said he was done with company life. You knew the feeling. You put him in the
I can't
Peterbilt.
comment much
You
about
bought a
this.
2021 Kenworth T680 for yourself, $148,000, finance rate at 6.9%. You now have 2 trucks, 2 drivers including yourself, and a daughter who asks when you're coming home. The answer is always Friday, sometimes Sunday.
Yep.
DAT's Carrier Profitability
I'm
Report says
surprised he
fleets under
even
5
spent enough.
trucks earn an average net margin of 8 to 12%.
I have family. I'm surprised he was home long enough to start a family.
$500,000 in gross revenue, that's $40,000 to $60,000.
Yeah,
You're
see,
running $620,000 in gross. The net margin keeps you up at night. Fuel is $4.10 in California. You run California anyway.
What? When was this made? When was this made? This was made a month ago. Diesel is not $4.10 in California. Diesel is the cost of a firstborn in California. Hey, down in Ohio, diesel was like over $6. Tell me, ChatGPT didn't write this for you, and you didn't review it without telling me ChatGPT didn't write this for you without you reading it over. At least, like, I don't care if people use ChatGPT to help their stuff, but at least proofread your stuff. And like, if you're gonna make an informative video, at least at least get your information right. The price of gas in California isn't even $4. mean, come on.
way, because the produce lanes pay. You hire a dispatcher, $800 a
He
month,
is right.
so
I had
you can
produce.
focus on the business instead of the load board.
And let's be real. Some of you do go out and start companies. That's how a lot of these mega carriers were started, right? Like I remember hearing something about Werner, right? How their guy was started. But most of us probably aren't gonna get past level 3. Some of us might go to level 4 owner operator, but a lot of us probably won't be fleet operators. And you know, it might be debatable on why that would be, but the way things are set up feels like it feels like it's a way to gate you from getting to the stage, right? Especially like a lot of these mega carriers, right? They don't want you as competition.
She finds a dedicated contract with a food distributor, 3 trucks, guaranteed 48 loads a month, $2.40 a mile, drop and hook, no touch. You don't have
Drop and hook, no touch. 3 trucks, 48 loads. Depending on what the lane is, this would be good for the company driver. I think 240 was, depending on where we're going, I think 240 still might be low, right? So let's see if he's gonna hire a driver, right? Because he's gotta pay for the fuel, he's gotta pay for the after tax, right? He's gotta pay the driver, right? He's gotta maybe pay the scale ticket, like the cat scale, he's gotta pay for that. So how much is he actually getting at the end of this? So I think 240 might be low, depending on the lane. Um, I'm guessing because it's 240 a mile, it might be a long haul run, right? Because there's no way that would be a local run for 240. So it'd be good. It might be a good load for the company driver, but I don't know for the company.
guaranteed 48 loads a month, $2.40 a mile, drop and hook, no touch. You don't have 3 trucks yet. You buy a third, a used 2018 Freightliner, $58,000. The bank approves it in 2 days.
Depending on the condition and the miles on that Freightliner, that doesn't sound too bad of a price. And I think Freightliners are usually pretty cheap to maintain, and they're usually pretty good on fuel. That's a much better deal depending on its condition than the T680. Oh my gosh, I mean, yeah, I will say, uh, they are a comfortable truck, T680s. But, owning one, I'm sure they cost an arm and a leg in fuel. Well, I don't know, I fueled them plenty of times in my years.
Because your books are clean and you're on time, delivery rate is 97.4%. You hire a second driver, you stop driving almost entirely. The first month you don't run a single
Most of
load
us are never gonna
yourself.
get here.
You make more money than any month you drove. You don't know how to feel about that. Level 6, the owner. You're 47. The fleet has 7 trucks now. You run dedicated contracts for 2 regional distributors and spot freight through a broker relationship you've maintained for 6 years. Gross revenue last year, $2.1 million. Net after all expenses, drivers, fuel, maintenance, insurance, factoring fees, dispatcher, bookkeeper, $310,000. You set your own
Yeah,
labor
he
rate now.
balled it
The
out pretty
market tells
good.
you what it'll pay. You've learned the difference. Transport Topics says the average small fleet,
Probably
set
see
your
that
own
road.
labor rate.
So this is 2.1 million before expenses. Right. So he still made $310,000. I mean, for a single person, that's. I mean, unless you want to live like a super lavish lifestyle, right? But you could survive on this. Right? Just go buy a modest house, a modest car, and everything. That's plenty of money. But you could also put some of that back into the company. You could probably buy another truck and hire another driver. Maybe make a little bit more money. Sometimes these trucks, though, cost more to run. Yeah, sometimes these trucks are cheaper to have sit than run, though, depending on the driver you put in them. You also gotta remember too, driver retention is important too, because if you keep losing drivers, it costs money to bring another one in. So you can be running through money just by that. Which is why I never understand why companies can't just keep drivers happy. I guess it could, as long as their demands are reasonable, right? But I mean, some will make outlandish demands.
Now, the market tells you what it'll pay. You've learned the difference. Transport Topics says the average small fleet, 6 to 20 trucks, has a net margin of 6%. Yours is 14.7%. You know why. No dead miles, no empty backhauls, dedicated lanes, drivers who stay. Driver turnover in trucking is 91% annually industry-wide. Your fleet,
Yep,
2
it's
drivers
pretty
left
high.
in 5 years. You pay above market. You answer the phone at midnight. You let them take the truck home on weekends. You're 56. A private equity group calls through a broker. They're rolling up regional carriers. They want your contracts, your authority, your relationships.
Yeah, that's
They
very
don't say
common.
that. They say they
Hello,
want
Green
your
Dragon.
platform.
How are
You
you?
meet them in a conference room in Nashville. They slide a letter of intent across the table, $1,800,000, plus an earnout tied to retention. You think about the 2019 Peterbilt with the DPF, sitting in the lot in Albuquerque. You think about the card you maxed out to pay the repair shop. You sign. The wire clears on a Thursday. You drive home in your pickup. No trailer, no load, no ELD counting your hours. You do 74 and a 70 because you can. The garage has one truck left.
74 and a
Your
70?
personal truck, a Ram 2500. You don't own a single semi anymore. The kid who just got his CDL at the Werner terminal outside of Memphis is making 0.28 cents a mile tonight. He doesn't know you. He doesn't know the guy who just sold a 7-truck fleet started exactly where he is, in a cracked seat, in the rain,
Is this
on the
good?
wrong
Have I
side of a
talked about the
receiver's
warning
clock,
guy?
learning what detention time costs when it comes out of you. The trade replaces 60,000 drivers a year. The average age of a truck driver in America is 46. The average tenure at one carrier, 18 months. 91% leave every year. Industry-wide, every year. You kept showing up, mile after mile after mile. That was the whole trick.
That's kind of a underwhelming ending to
Industry-wide.
that. That's kind of an underwhelming ending to that, huh? Well, I'm glad you're doing all right there, Green Dragon. We're just doing some reactions. Sorry, sorry, I just stretched. been, we've been reacting for almost 3 hours now. Oh gosh, I've been talking a lot. Crap. Well, those would be fun to upload to YouTube later, I guess, right? But no, I wanted to watch that. For some of you that were here watching it with me, you can kind of understand why. Let me give them a 7 a like though, and then I'll share the